Six Nations final round after one heck of a break with pandemic. Gets back underway. We've already had last week's game with Ireland against Italy. The final round is starting off with Wales and Scotland. It is being played in Wales, but it's from Llanelli rather than from Cardiff because they're using the stadium, as far as I'm aware, for like medical purposes, right? So yeah, it's not going to be the usual home ground for Wales, but either way, it's in Wales. It's Wales against Scotland. Final round of the Six Nations. I'll go over the lineups, the recent history. My kids are fighting outside. I've just broken up one fight. I can hear another one. Goodness me, let's hope there's as much fight in these two teams as there is in my two children because, yeah, they're giving each other a right go. The game's on at 2:15 local time, which makes it 3:15 in the morning over here in New Zealand. Not an ideal time. I, in all likelihood, will be watching it somehow on a catch-up service. But, yeah, Wales against Scotland. The lineups for this one, Wales have made a few changes from that team which lost to France last week. A number of changes. Thomas Francis back from duties with Exeter. He starts at tight head. Likewise, Will Rowlands after his time with Wasps. Owen Watkins in at 12. And Liam Williams is in at 14. So these guys didn't play last week. And there's one other fella who's in the number 6 jersey. Shane Lewis-Hughes. Now, that one's a bit of a left field one for me. I've said it a few times, but I don't tend to watch a heck of a lot of Pro 14. I do watch a lot of rugby, but there's a lot of rugby on, and when you got a job and 2 kids, there's only so many hours in the day. So, yeah, I will require much education on this fella. I did have a quick read-up of him before making the vid, and, people reckon he's got a really good ticker, which is good work rate, and apparently he's impressed that much in training. Like, this guy wasn't even in the initial Autumn Nations Cup squad, and yet suddenly he's starting. Apparently he's, a phenomenal worker, so impressed that much in training, he is getting a crack. So debut for him. Big game, but I guess nothing really on the line. You look at the other 2 games, England, Italy, and France, Ireland. Technically, for 3 of those teams, there's still a chance to get a title, whereas this game, mostly playing for pride. I mean, they're still not going to want to lose. There's still going to be as much fight as my kids going at each other's throats, but yeah, should be good in that regard. So, yeah, he takes the place of Aaron Wainwright, who is, I believe, just dropped. Liam Williams comes in for George North. There's no Lewis Rhys-Zammit on the bench because Nick Tompkins drops to the bench with Watkins being included. There's no Seb Davies. There's no Samson Leigh. There's no Rhys Webb. So there's changes kind of galore from that team last week, which, to be fair, was a wee bit disappointing at times. Like, I would hope with Liam Williams there, certainly under the high ball will be one area that will look to be a heck of a lot more secure because last week was bad. And Liam Williams is among the best in the business. Halfpenny, likewise, a pretty safe pair of hands at the back ordinarily. I think he did drop at least one last week, which is uncharacteristic. Jonathan Davies still there at 13. Josh Adams at 11. And again, he's normally pretty comfortable, but had a few aerial woes last week. Dan Biggar missed 3 kicks in a row last week, I think it was, which is uncharacteristic again from him. So let's hope he's back on his normal form. Gareth Davies up from the bench to start at 9. Faletau still there at 8. Tipuric still there at 7. Alun Wyn-Jones will become the most capped test player of all time with 149 caps when he runs out against Scotland. So massive congratulations to him. It's good to know because the guy gets a wee bit of stick in the comments on this channel, but apparently not from the Welsh, which is good because I remember the tail end of Ritchie McCaw's career, quite a few Kiwis getting on his back for being too old and whatnot, but it sounds like in Wales he's still well loved and highly regarded, which is pleasing to see because the guy's been an absolute servant to the game and just given so much. So yeah, kudos to him. Ryan Elias is still at hooker. Rhys Carre continues on loose head. Sam Parry's still going to back up. He could have started, to be fair, but it's only his second game. Wyn-Jones, Dillon Lewis. Cory Hill drops to the bench. James Davis. Lloyd Williams is the replacement with Gareth Davies being promoted and Rhys Webb being dropped. So Lloyd Williams is there. Patchell still there on the bench. And as I mentioned, Nick Tompkins. So Wayne Pivac's not been afraid to swing the axe, and after last week's performance, it's maybe understandable. But we will see how these guys front up for that last game. The Scots have made a few changes as well, not quite to the same degree. It's still the same front row with Sutherland, Fraser Brown, and Xander Fagerson, who will try to put the Welsh back under as much pressure as possible. Jonny Gray, also from Exeter Chiefs duties, returns to the squad, and he's straight into the second row alongside Scott Cummins. Jamie Ritchie and Hamish Watson are still there at 6 and 7. Interestingly, Blade Thomson comes into number 8. He wasn't even the 23 last week, so he is another option. Big ball carrier and good at the line out, so we'll see how he goes. Ali Price is still there at 9, but they've bumped up Finn Russell to 10, which means Adam Hastings drops to the bench. And to be fair, Finn Russell, you feel like did add a little bit of attacking spark, which is kind of what you want from him, basically. So, yeah, we'll see how he goes. James Lang and Chris Harris continue on in the midfield. Blair Kinghorn switches to the wing because Stuart Hogg is back and he is captain from his winning the double with Exeter Chiefs. And Darcy Graham is there on the right wing retaining his spot, which means that our man Duan van der Merwe, after his try-on debut performance last week, he drops to the bench. Adam Hastings, as I mentioned. Scott Steele will get his debut when he comes on. So, yeah, that's another change. No George Horn this week. Cornell Dupree is still there. Ben Toulis drops to the bench. Simon Bergen, Ollie Kebble, Stuart McAnally. Similar names from the ones we saw play last week. No Rob Harley, no Nick Hanning, Matt Fagerson as well. So, yeah, they had an extra forward on the bench last week from memory, did the Scots. More regular setup this week. Andrew Brace is the ref. So we'll see how he goes. He's pretty decent, isn't he, from memory? Again, I don't see him as much as some of you guys would. But in terms of the predictions, Wales are 6-point favourites with the bookies and 9-point favourites with the rugby forecast algorithm. But yeah, you would say Wayne Pivac probably needs a win. Yeah. Maybe more so than Gregor Townsend, but I'm sure Gregor Townsend would like to finish in a spot other than 5th in the Six Nations. So he'll need a win to do that, because that's pretty much all these teams are playing for. Whoever wins finishes a spot higher than the other one. The last 5 performances, it's been 4-1 in Wales's favour. Wales haven't lost to Scotland in Wales since 2002, so it's a long time between drinks for the Scots. And the average score over those last 5 games is 22-16 in Wales's favour, so relatively tight. But we will see if it is as tight as all that at the weekend. So yeah, as I mentioned, it's at a pretty ungodly hour for me over here in New Zealand at 3:15, but we'll definitely be seeing the game one way or another. You guys let me know your thoughts on this one. How do you feel about the selections? Do you think Wayne Pivac should have stayed a bit more stable to the team that played last week, or are you happy that he kind of swung the axe on some of the maybe underperforming guys? And with Scotland bringing back the likes of Hogg, Russell, Gray, do you think this is Scotland's best chance to get a win in Wales since 2002? You guys let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later. Right, guys, so if you want to see the games this weekend, that's being the Six Nations, 2 of them are on the BBC and 1 of them is on ITV. The good thing about those services is they are free services, which here in New Zealand is just unheard of. If you are outside the UK, though, you won't be able to use the service unless you sign up to a VPN. The one I'm using here is ExpressVPN. You can see I'm connected to a server in the UK. And I've signed up for both an ITV account and for a BBC iPlayer account. So it basically means name, email address, and I think you have to Google a UK postcode with the sign-up process. But apart from that, essentially you can just sign in and watch the content. So you can see there's, on the BBC they've got some Scrum 5 content, change the video quality, and they've got Six Nations, Wales, Scotland listed, and they've got France, Ireland listed. So yep, that one is there. And then the other one, which is the middle game, England against Italy, that one is on that one's on ATV. So it's good. You can watch the games live. You can watch them on demand. If you're outside the UK, you do need to use a VPN. So I'll put a link in the description for Express. If you've already got a VPN, that should be okay. You can just use whichever one. But essentially, connect to a server in the UK. If you don't have an account with either the BBC or with ITV, you will need to sign up. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, enjoy the game, guys. See ya.